Time to Shine Today podcast varsity squad. This is Scott Ferguson, and I'm reaching all the way from South Florida, all the way across either the Atlantic or the Pacific, one of the two, to my good friend Nicole Baldinu in Sydney, Awesome Sauce, Australia. And Nicole is the CEO or the co-founder and COO of Webinar Ninja, an independent SaaS company that has served over 1 million webinar attendees and hosts. She's also co-founder and producer of the $100 MBA show, which is fantastic. The ratings are high. They were like best of iTunes just a few years ago, which is in just over 100 million downloads. It's only like 95 million more than mine, which is just awesome though. But Nicole is an educator and decided to apply a teacher's skill set to independent business building. Now she helps other aspiring entrepreneurs really kind of level up their business and grow their notice and whatnot. And I'm so stoked, and I'm like it's a little bit weird because it's nighttime for me and I usually don't do the podcast now. And I'm super excited and stumbling over my words because I get to bring Nicole on, because this is a product, Donnie, which my producer here knows, that I'm literally kind of looking to bring into my own as well, so I can reach out and serve more people. And Nicole, thank you so much for coming on. Please introduce yourself to Time to Shine Today podcast varsity squad. But first, what's your favorite color and why?
Oh, I love color, but I will pick purple.
Is it your headband?
It is my headband, actually.
No, it's royal and regal, right? It's what it's about.
I love purple.
I love it. I see here in your background there a teaching background. What is that, kind of where your roots kind of started as a teacher, or what's the story there?
Yes, I actually trained to be a teacher. I was a high school teacher for over 12 years. I did a master's in education as well. As soon as I left school, I chose a career that was safe, that was going to secure me a job for life. It was very important. My parents had immigrated from Italy to beautiful Sydney. And, it was really important that I chose a career that would give me that stability, the stability that we kind of didn't have when I was growing up. And teaching was, something that I felt like I could do. I was passionate about languages. I was passionate about teaching English. And so I chose, teaching as a career.
How many languages do you speak?
Well, I grew up speaking Italian at home.
Right. Okay.
I picked up French and Spanish in school, a little bit of Japanese when I lived over there.
Wow.
But I'm pretty rusty. If I'm gonna be honest now, I'll just keep it at English and Italian, just barely on both.
Very good. What part of Italy?
So Dad was from an island called Sardinia. It's a beautiful island, kind of center.
Beautiful.
Do you know it?
Yes, I do know it. Right? I haven't been there, but a friend of mine, Vinny Fiordolino, just came back from there just a little bit ago. So absolutely, Sardinia is beautiful. Saw the pictures.
Paradise.
Yes.
Yeah. And Mum was is from up north.
Okay.
In a town called Alexandria. Yeah.
Gotcha. And why the move to down under then?
Oh, it was Dad that convinced Mum. She didn't want to leave. But Mum loved the beach. So he was very smart in bringing her to Bondi, Bondi Beach, Australia, which is, well famous.
Oh, yeah.
I guess Dad wanted to just see what else was out there.
Sure.
He was, blue collar worker, had a trade. He was a welder. He felt that he could get, good work here. He convinced Mum to come. She didn't want to. She was working, they had their life and everything set up in Italy. But as soon as, she saw the beautiful beach of Bondi and Sydney and just the lifestyle that Australia was very different to, Italy in the 70s.
Okay.
They fell in love and they decided to stay. And then I was born a year later.
Really? Okay. And so you're actually born in Australia then?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Both my brother and I were born here, and born and raised.
Very cool. It is so beautiful there. It's gorgeous, and it has the seasons as well. Is it true that the toilet water goes down backwards or not backwards, but I guess it'd be counterclockwise versus clockwise?
I haven't been asked that in a while. I don't know.
Okay. I have to throw it out there.
Check. I don't know.
I don't remember when I was there, but let's get kind of the roots then, how you kind of moved into the teaching world, into putting together really kind of the journey of entrepreneurship.
I think when I went into teaching, I remember distinctly saying, this is a fallback. This would be something that wouldn't want to do for the rest of my life. And I don't even remember why I said that. We're talking like I'm 18, 19, going to college. But then I got into teaching and I loved teaching. I was good at my job. You can't stay in teaching for 12 years if you're not, producing and helping, students achieve their goals, right? And the outcomes. So I started teaching here in Sydney, but I had that hunger to travel the world. And so the first place I moved to very soon after was Japan. Okay. And so I taught in Japan for 2 years. And then I thought, well, teaching is kind of like, it can take me some, outside of Australia. And so I ended up teaching for 2 years in Japan, coming back to Sydney, and then getting that travel bug again and thinking, where is the next place I can go to? And of all places at that time for teaching English, Dubai was very popular.
Ooh, there we go. So was this the 90s?
This was, by this stage, it was, 2006.
Okay, gotcha.
So it was, in Japan. I was in Japan from 2001 to 2003. Okay. Gotcha. So I graduated in 96 now. Now you're making me feel old.
I graduated in 90.
A long time ago.
We're right up there. We're good. We have the good generation. So
that's right. By 2006, Dubai was this emerging place where you could go and teach English. Skills were sought after there. And so I was there for 6 years before deciding, okay, I do want to do something else now. It was 12 years into, being in the classroom, and I didn't know what I was going to do. I just had this desire to do something very creative. And so I decided to just try a very short filmmaking course to see if that would be something that I would be interested in. And because I thought, filmmaking, it's the opposite of teaching. It's the most creative thing you can do, tell stories, all of that. And so then I decided I quit. I resigned from the college that I was at. I had to still give 6 months notice.
Okay.
Just up and leave. You give notice, you finish out the year, you make sure the students, take their exams and all of that. And that was where my journey into entrepreneurship started.
And what was the flip though? The switch that kind of flipped that said, this is exactly like, was there like a aha moment that really flipped? And then also, I'm very curious to know what your family thought about, your 12-year fallback plan, kind of move into entrepreneurship.
Well, the flip happened. It was at the start of the year. It was at the start of a semester where you're given a new schedule. Mm-hmm. And it just felt like a rerun. It felt like I'm being handed this schedule. I feel like I've done this before. I've seen that this scene has played out so many times. Right. And I thought, it's really now or never. I was in my 30s. I thought, this is the time that if I'm going to try to do something, it would be now. And so you're right. Like 12 years is a long time to make a decision to, for that sort of inkling of an idea to kind of be simmering in the background. Yeah. And so I think it was that first, like, I've decided now. And so pulling the plug and actually not knowing what I was going to do next, that's kind of where, then I was kind of forced into like, okay, make the next move. Where are you going to go? What are you going to do next?
What piqued your interest the most, though, with regards to entrepreneurship? Was there a certain kind of brand or certain physical thing that you wanted to invent, or is it something that you just wanted to write your own schedule? I mean, was there a passion there that something you wanted to get out to the people?
I kind of stumbled along the way because I went into film, and film was like, okay, that was my first taste into having my own schedule, charging, what I thought was, the value that, giving, whatever it was, a video. Right. Right. So that was kind of my first taste into like independence and freedom and being on my own time and setting my own schedule and determining the work that I wanted to do. Gotcha. But it was really at the same time I had teamed up with my now husband and co-founder. And it was through some of the ideas that he had of what we could do together and we could put our skills together that led into starting our businesses.
That's awesome. And did you meet him in Dubai?
We did. Yeah. We
Okay.
met in Dubai. Yeah.
Okay. I was in Dubai or UAE or Jebel Ali, like all those places in the early 90s before, when it was just
Oh, okay.
like the tallest building might have been 100 feet. Now they have scrapers there. I've been back there.
Right. Yeah.
It's beautiful. So when did the $100 MBA kind of come to formation, or was there something before then that kind of led up to that? Or tell us the story, because I'm super intrigued about this.
Yeah, no. So we moved to New York, and that's when I studied film for a bit, and I start freelancing. And he's also resigned. He was also teaching as well. And he was consulting. He'd been building businesses on the side and started consulting. And so he was doing his thing, but then he was helping me out because I didn't know how to set my prices. I didn't know how to do a lot of the businessy stuff. I didn't have an MBA. I didn't know anything really about business. This was kind of my first foray. So he was helping me out. I was helping him out. And we were doing a bit of the freelancing thing in New York for a while. And then he had the idea. He came to me one day and he said, look, I've got this idea for the $100 MBA. He dropped out of Wharton. He realized that, you didn't have to spend X amount of money to, do an MBA if all you wanted to do was start a business online and be an entrepreneur.
Right.
And I had just these freshly minted video editing skills and film making skills.
Right.
And he said, I'll teach the content, you shoot the videos, you edit the videos, we'll put the content up, and we'll create this online training. And I thought, hey, that sounds good. Like, I was just all up for the new adventure, right? I just quit my job, trying to get people to pay me for the work that I had done for them in New York. I thought, okay, well, this sounds interesting. And that's how the $100 MBA came about. So originally it was an online training and community, which came before the podcast, which is what we're more known for now.
Absolutely. And so the basis of the $100 MBA is that, you said your hubby went to Wharton then, which is
but dropped out.
And dropped
out.
That's sick to even be accepted to Wharton. I mean, that's awesome. And so he went there, he dropped out. And then is this the $100 MBA is what do you offer with, is it a course, or what is consisting of the $100 MBA?
So essentially what it was to teach people the fundamentals of business, the bare bones, the basics, so that they could get up and running, they could start an online business, they could leave their 9-to-5, really our story, which was leaving a traditional career, leaving a 9-to-5 to start something for themselves. And it was just to teach, the very basics to get started. And it was for $100 lifetime. So not $100,000, which a typical MBA would cost, but $100. That's where the name came from.
And is it still available, the $100 MBA?
So we have original members, yes, who have lifetime access to the course. But since then, since the podcast was born in 2014, a couple of years later, that became our focus. And we've run more live training and live workshops since then, $100 MBA live little mini courses and programs. But the flagship now is the podcast.
So you have, when they tune into the podcast, and I have in the past, I'm ashamed to say I haven't listened to them recently, but I have in the past, and just because of the whole premise behind it. And I didn't click for me, to be honest with you, until yesterday. That you are who you are, because I've listened to it, and it's fantastic, because you're really setting what I feel about it. So, I'm a mindset, coach. That's how my coach has me label myself as a lifestyle optimization artist. Anyways, I'm a mindset coach, right? It's a fancy word. That's how they introduce me on stage, and they say, fancy word for life coach. It's kind of funny when I'm going out there. But, a lot of it has to start with the mindset, correct? With regards to it, both for you and your hubs, it had to be a mindset of being a teacher, and then really, working out and kind of making that jump. So with that being said, where do you think people's biggest blind spot is when they're looking to make that jump? Because I believe a 9-to-5 makes a living. Your 5 to 9, what you do during that time makes your life. Right. I mean, if you're passionate about really taking your family to the next level, like you and your hubby was. What's his name, by the way, so I can quit calling him hubby?
His name's, no, that's okay. Omar.
Okay. So you and Omar, do that. So what do you think is the biggest blind spot that people have as they're really trying to make that jump?
I think if I'm going to relate it to what I struggled with, I had a fixed mindset. I wasn't, the whole growth mindset was something that I was introduced to through entrepreneurship, through reading books. Before getting into entrepreneurship, I only read fiction. I thought, nonfiction books were self-help books for people that, were troubled. That's like the mindset
Right.
that I had. I had no idea.
Right.
I'm embarrassed to say it and kind of not embarrassed to say it at the same time, because nobody told me, nobody showed me that way. I learned this through entrepreneurship, that, and this idea of a growth mindset, that you can really change your mindset. You can change your beliefs about yourself, the stories of the past, the stories of maybe your family, traditions, background, all of that. They don't define you. They don't have to be your future.
Yes.
So yeah, getting out of your own way was one of the first things that I'm still, working on, but that opened my eyes.
Yeah. Speaking of that, do you ever feel, even though Mar, you found success, and you guys have been married quite a while, you guys are together, so you have the prosperity and success across different kinds of lines of prosperity, but do you ever kind of go back and feel like an imposter every once in a while?
Imposter syndrome. Yes. I mean,
Me
it's
too.
that old adage of like,
yeah,
the more you know, the more you don't know.
yes,
right?
And you don't know what you don't know. Right?
Exactly.
That's
and so you're like, what else is there that I'm missing that I don't know? Because I think I figured out these things, but what else is there that I haven't figured out yet?
And if you're not progressing, you're regressing, period. I mean, everyone wants, a lot of people want to put their head in the sand and then pull it out a year from now and say, everything looks the same, but if you look at your face, you might have another wrinkle or, something else. That people change, across the board. And so then, do you ever have people kind of come up to you and really request a little bit of your time to help, especially if they're within wanting to make that leap?
Yes. Yeah. Like,
okay.
how do you make that leap?
Right.
And I've had to think about that over the years, because it always feels like such a long time ago. And, as entrepreneurs, you're always looking to the next thing.
Right.
And you don't want to spend too much time looking at the past, whether it's mistakes, failures, even, resting on your laurels, any of that. You want to keep moving forward. But, I often reflect on like, what were those things that really pushed me to take that leap?
Absolutely. Do you think maybe when you're talking to somebody or someone's impressed with your accolades, and is there any good question maybe that you wish they would ask you but never do?
I think it has to do with like getting out. How do you get out of your own way?
That's beautiful. Yeah, that's pretty much this basis of everybody, because even in the coaching world with me, it's like everybody knows what they want. They just don't know how to talk themselves into it. Right. And that's where I'm kind of the sounding board. I don't consult. I don't say, okay, Nicole, this is what you're going to do next. I mean, your issue, problem, challenge all exists right inside you, but so does the answer. Right. So my job is just to kind of be that GPS, because so many people have a foot in the future, a foot in the past, and they piss all over the present. Right. So it's like they got to live there, kind of get out of their own way. And like my good friend Leah Woodford would say, get your asking gear. There's a lot of people that you can ask of for help, and that's out there. So let me ask you something. Have you seen the movie Back to the Future?
Yes.
Yes.
Of course.
At our age, you have, and you're still a few years, 6-7 years behind me. Let's get that DeLorean with Marty McFly. Let's go back to the double dupes, the 22-year-old Nicole. What knowledge nuggets might you drop on her? Not so much to change anything, because Omar, and his life has been pretty awesome, right? But to maybe shorten a learning curve or blast through or level up just a little bit quicker.
Well, that's such a good question.
You're probably still a teacher then, right? At 22?
I was getting into teaching. The early days. I think the idea of not asking for permission, not waiting for permission, to give yourself that permission.
Yeah.
To go after the things that you that you want, that you believe in, that you want to try. Don't wait around for someone to say, yeah, it's okay, you can do it.
You don't need the validation, right? You're
Yeah.
yourself. Okay. All right. Very cool. So how do you want your dash remembered then? That little line in between your incarnation date and your expiration date. Hopefully it's way down the road, but your life date and death date. How do you want that dash remembered for you?
I always think about, and it sounds cheesy, but I want to have been someone that helped people in some way.
Yeah.
So being that positive force of, whether it's an inspiration or, you know, a motivation to change. I think a lot of the times it's hard to, you know, you may see in people a change that you feel like, oh, this would be really great if they could do this, if they could, you know, make this change. And a lot of the times people, unless they really want to, or they're open to it, or they're receptive, nothing you'll say will convince them.
Right.
You know, nothing you'll say. Yeah.
No, please go ahead, Nicole. Sorry.
Well, no, the only thing I would say, add to that, is that the best that you can hope for is that you role model the behavior, or the, you know, you live out your values in a way that it may inspire someone to you know, enact that change, to be the whatever it is that they are trying to aspire to. If they see that in someone else and say, okay, that's cool, like that looks good, that looks like something I want to achieve, or you know, maybe I can do that too.
It looks fun, doable, and attainable, right?
Exactly.
I mean, yes, I absolutely love that. So, Nicole, what do you think people might misunderstand the most about you?
I think one of the dilemmas I've always had is the idea of, you know, a master versus a jack of all trades.
Sure.
And you know, I've reconciled that, in that one of my highest values is learning. I feel at my happiest and at my best when I feel like I'm learning. And so a lot of the times I like to learn new things. I like to try different things. And I guess my trajectory so far has been one of, you know, whether it's teaching different languages, to let's try filmmaking, let's, you know, freelance as a videographer, let's build a community, let's learn how to edit a podcast, let's create a software company. Someone might look at that and go, does she know what she's doing?
Right.
And I'm like, yeah, I do. I feel like this is what I enjoy doing. I enjoy learning new things. I enjoy trying out new things and seeing where, you know, those things that we create can help other people. So it might be a little bit of that, might be that imposter syndrome that you talked about earlier, where it's like, is one better than the other, that master versus, you know, someone who, you know, tries their hand at a lot of things.
Right. And some people might have looked at you in the past, you know, and misunderstood that you were on a trajectory. I mean, some of my most successful clients that I've moved into entrepreneurship, that I've coached that way, were teachers. And because they were coachable. You know what I'm saying? A lot of them, a lot of people out there aren't. They're not coachable. They'll come in and, you know, again, I never tell anybody how to do it. They come up with their idea, but they'll change the stroke halfway across the river. You know, next thing you know, they're back this way. Where a lot of the teachers that I've worked with, you know, they see it through, because we worked the goal, we set it up, we GPSed it and rocked it out. And I love that you tried so many things. I could see where people might misunderstand where your passion might lie a little bit, but until they really see what you can do for them. That's amazing. Thank you for being transparent on that, by the way. Really, really appreciate that. So what, if anything, keeps you up at night?
Oh, sometimes it's the conversations that you have to have with the team. Maybe someone's, you know, not pulling their weight, or you feel like they need a little bit of, you know, guidance.
Right.
So it's, you know, you want to be able to encourage them, give them that support. So it might be that conversation that you need to have.
Right.
Something like that. Yeah.
Do you fall asleep pretty easily?
I do. I read before bed. So I fall asleep easily.
Right.
But if I do wake up, it is something to do with the business or,
Right.
no, I won't lie, but I am pretty good at falling back asleep as well.
Good.
So I consider myself a pretty good sleeper.
I'm getting back there. I'm getting to there, where I wasn't. Cause like my fiance, she will like, I've counted to 8 before, and that's her fastest time. We're laying down, she's out. And I'm like, that's a superpower. To me, that's all absolute superpower. Now that I'm
Omar's got
really
that
working with
superpower too.
Really?
I'm very
Okay.
envious.
Good. That's awesome. So then what is Nicole's definition of a life well lived?
It goes back to that learning, to feel like I've learned something new. I've changed.
Sure.
I've changed, and I've hopefully changed for the better.
Okay.
I like to see that progression in myself. And I think if you've changed, if you feel like you've learned something, then you've had a good life. You've had an opportunity that, a lot of people don't get to have. Whether it's to study, to have mentors, to be inspired, to try different things. I mean, I'm immensely grateful for that.
I just feel like I'm writing the song Unwritten right now, talking to you by Natasha Bedingfield. It's like that to me, that's the best song ever written. It's like you're writing your own path. You've tried so many things that you never gave up, and you always probably have that awesome smile that you have on your face as you're moving forward, and that's something that's inspirational, and people need to see that. And that's out there. It's super impressive. So last question on this part of the interview is like, give me 3 things that Nicole can't live without.
3 things. Love.
Okay. I love it. And that's awesome.
Books.
Okay.
I'm Italian. Good food.
Oh, there you go. I love it. I mean, I'm glad you like. I know that Omar.
I mean, there's lots. You put me on the spot. I mean, there's probably other things I might regret
my number
saying
3 is I'm a chicken wing snob, right? And like I have to have them. Those are one of the 3 things, but they've got to be really good. But I'm glad you didn't go with air, water, or my husband or something like that, because obviously, duh. No, I'm glad you were. Again, you're just so transparent. This is awesome. This is so fun. Like, you're carrying me through this interview because I don't do them at night. So this is fantastic. So, squad, we are going to take my good friend Nicole through our leveling up lightning round just as soon as we get back from thanking our sponsors and affiliates. Time to Shine Today podcast varsity squad. We are back, and Nicole, hopefully one day we meet up live. I can meet you in your hubs, and we can kind of like hang out and brainstorm and stuff, and maybe talk about some of these questions that would take 15-20 minutes. But today you've got 5 seconds with no explanations, and they can all be answered that way. You ready to level up?
Okay, let's
go. Here we go. She's like, I think so. I like it. So, Nicole, what is the best leveling up advice you've ever received?
Surround yourself with the right people.
5 is huge. Yes. Sure. One of your personal habits that contributes to your success.
Reading.
Yes. So on the premise of reading, so you see me kind of walking down the street, we're at an event or somewhere, and like, man, Fergie looks like he's in his doldrums a little bit. What book might you hand me to help me level up?
Recently, I'm very passionate about The Untethered Soul.
Really?
Michael A. Singer.
Hell yeah. Awesome. Thank you. That's a beautiful, beautiful book. Great book. So what's your most commonly used emoji when you text?
I love emojis. The sweat emoji. Or
the sweat one? Okay.
Or the dancer. I'm either excited or very nervous.
Nice. I love it. Nicknames growing up?
Nikki.
Nikki, okay.
Yeah.
So, any New Year's resolutions this year?
Just to be more present.
Beautiful.
To continue to be more present.
That's awesome. What is a hidden talent or superpower that you have that no one really knows about?
I'm a good listener.
Nice. That's beautiful. That's a superpower, believe it or not. I've had to work myself up to there. Beautiful. Chess, checkers, or Monopoly?
I used to play chess a lot with my brother as a kid.
All right. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Headline for your life?
It was a good one.
I love it. That's our go-to ice cream flavor.
Chocolate, of course.
Awesome. So there is a sandwich called the Nicole Baldinu. Build that sandwich for me.
Love sandwiches. Avocado, chicken or turkey, some cheese, mayo. Yeah, nice. Salt and pepper.
Any man candy on there? Any bacon?
It'll be chicken and turkey.
Okay, gotcha. Love it. Okay, so I kind of know the answer to this, and the favorite charity and or organization like to give your time or money to.
I'm very excited about Hands Across the Water.
Talk about it. I'm going to break my rule. Yeah. I want to know about this.
Yeah. So I just only learned about this organization very recently, Hands Across the Water. It's an organization that supports children in Thailand who don't have family to take care of them, or who've been put into the care of the Hands team through government or police intervention. Sure. And it was started by a forensic investigator, Peter Baines, who led victim identification teams after the tsunami, the 2004. I don't know if you recall the Boxing Day tsunami.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely devastating.
Yeah.
And so Peter was there, doing victim identification, and he saw this lady who'd come down from Bangkok to set up a tent near one of the epicenters where there were a lot of the victims, and because a lot of the children were coming to look for their parents. And this lady, it's heartbreaking. And this lady had set up a tent to essentially feed these kids who had been left without parents. And so I think the first thing that he wanted to do was to build a home for these 30 kids. At one point, she's looking after 30 kids. And so he'd made it his mission to set up a home for these kids. But then from then after, like, they did build that home, he realized, okay, there's more work to do. And so now Hands supports over 350 kids across 7 homes in Thailand. And they do these charity bike rides. So next year in April, I will be getting on a bike for 5 days, riding 500 kilometers.
Wow.
Yep. It's a challenge, but I'm up for it. And the goal is to raise a minimum of $5,000 for Hands Across the Water. So I'm very excited about that.
On the site here, love, is this your personal fundraiser that you have here? Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. So you're looking at raising 5 large, and so you're going to ride basically the equivalent of about 310 miles over 5 days. Yes. Have fun. Yeah. I'm kidding. No, no, that's awesome, because I was born in the Philippines. Okay. And I'm half Filipino, believe it or not. I'm 6'1", about 240. I'm pretty well put together. Right. But it's like, I'm like Filipino, and I was one of those children from Vietnam, in 1972. So luckily I have no idea. My story was asked for by Oprah, Ricky Lake, Sally Jesse Raphael back in the 90s, because of what I've went through. And this is huge, because I'm a Pacific Islander. They're Pacific Islanders, that's huge. I'm definitely gonna, donate to this. And I would strongly recommend, the people that have heard my story and then reached out and thanked me for telling it. I want you to really, really look into this. It's going to be in the show notes. I'm going to put it at the top of the show notes. And please look into seriously donating to my good friend Nicole's cause here, because it's going to be her butt that's sore after 300 miles anyway. So no, seriously, Nicole, thank you so much for doing that. That's freaking amazing, and a mad respect to you.
Thank you so much.
Last question, and you can elaborate on this one a little bit too, and you better answer the way I need you to answer here. Okay. But what's the best decade of music? 60s, 70s, 80s, or 90s?
I'm a huge Beach Boys fan, so I'm going to say the 60s.
Okay, I'll go with that. I just thought, because I think you had a 7 on the front of your birth year, right? 1970 something. Yeah. Okay, I thought you were going to go the 80s, because we kind of grew up in these. But
I love the 80s.
It's funny. Everyone's like Beatles or Stones, and I'm like, dude, the Beach Boys during that time.
I was a huge Beach Boys fan.
And like even during that time, like the Four Seasons too, like with Frankie Valli.
Yeah, and
I actually saw him at 87 years old in February for my 50th birthday. Not this year, but last year. Yeah, and he actually came out and sang. He didn't do all the songs. He had like kind of performers that mimicked him. But no, the Beach Boys, I got to see them in the late 70s with my dad. And then I saw them like later in life as well when, you know, they would tour down around the San Diego area when I was stationed there. But no, I dig the Beach Boys. That's awesome. What's your go-to Beach Boys song? What's that?
Oh, they came to Australia in the 90s.
No,
they
really?
went out to Narrabeen. Yeah.
Okay. Was that during their Kokomo time or is that a little bit after that?
A little bit after.
Got it.
And Brian Wilson wasn't with them. But my go-to is, there's so many, but I love Wouldn't It Be Nice, which was on the Pet Sounds album.
Yeah. You know, they have that song that was played at the beginning of Love Actually. I know it's going to slip up from my mind here. I don't know. I'm just going to have to WhatsApp it with you. It's, oh my gosh. I'm just going to bug me. But anyways, how can we find you, my friend?
Well, I'm on the socials. I suppose Instagram's my favorite. But you know, if you're looking for another great podcast to add to your rotation, the $100 MBA show is there.
100%. Yes.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So tell us a little bit about, like, okay, you have the 100mba.net. That's the main site, correct?
Right.
And then I also kind of pulled up the Teach, Live, Get Paid. Is that part of the MBA, something you're rolling out, or has it been rolled out, or what is that kind of doing? So when we were trying to grow our members for the $100 MBA, Omar started running webinars. This is back in like 2014.
Okay. And then it was quite hard to put webinars together at that time. And so he had the harebrained idea, why don't we start a webinar platform? And being a very come along with person, I was like, that sounds like a great idea. Let's do that. And so we started a webinar platform, Webinar Ninja. And now we've just released a sister product called Course Ninja, which is allowing teachers, coaches, consultants to run live courses, on-demand training, group coaching. So it's our software company as well. So it's kind of what makes, I suppose, the podcast in a way unique is that, you know, Omar teaches lessons from the experience of building our software company. We've been running it since 2014 with a fully distributed team. So lots of lessons, lots of ups and downs, lots of, experiences there that he shares on the podcast, helping other people start their businesses.
Wow. Oh, we should. One of these times we're going to have to do like a 3-person as well, because I want to see the looks on your faces. And because I have some really awesome questions for the both of you. So see how it is, just because, just working together for, coming up on 20 or like 17 years now, right? 18 years?
No, well, 11 years.
11 years. Oh, okay. But what I'm thinking is do you guys met in Dubai? What years were you in Dubai then?
So I was in Dubai from 2006 to 2012. So we met in like 2012. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Your math was right.
Okay.
But we were not together yet. Yeah.
Gotcha. This has been fun. And Squad, I'm going to put everything in the show notes. And basically I have, I'm blessed. I have a list of about 175,000 subscribers, that I've been building since 2009. And my bragging moment is like when I send out podcasts, I get about a 32% open. So, so many people are going to have this, but there's certain segments of my list that have got to get to know you guys, Nicole. I really know that you can help them and help them blow up their businesses as well. But I need you to do me one last solid and leave me with one last knowledge nugget we can take with us, internalize, and take action on.
Should have been more prepared for this.
No. Are you kidding me? You've dropped so many knowledge nuggets. It's incredible. If you could just say have a nice night, I'm totally good with it.
I've talked about like being in the present and just and really it's an idea that I've really started to grasp and really understand. And I think what comes along with that is to just have fun and to accept, whatever's put in front of you right now, whatever's being asked of you right now, just, go ahead and do it, give it your all. And I think, that things will work out.
Basically do it
Without-
scared, right?
Yeah.
All right, one of my coaches, Berta Medina, she's like, Scott, just do it scared. And basically she's put in 3 words what you just told me right there. And I'm the same as you. You and I are like brother and sisters from different misters, man. I'm going to tell you right now, it's 100% because there's so many, parallels to us. And squad, I hope you picked up the knowledge nuggets that I picked up. She was, high school teacher for 12 years. Is their 12-year fallback plan. But she had so much passion in helping people, learn English and, really level up their life. But she just felt it was a rerun a lot of the times. It was kind of like the next year, same thing, next year, same thing. And she really wanted out of that 9-to-5 grind. And she knows that, like we talk about here at Time to Shine today, is that we have, we make a living by our 9-to-5, but we make a life by our 5-to-9 if we want to provide and go travel and see other countries like my good friend Nicole did and does to this moment. She talks about the blind spot that a lot of the entrepreneurs have. That's getting past their fixed mindset into a growth mindset. And the way she does it and did it is she really engulfs herself with that nonfiction, no fun reading, right, Nicole? But, we talk about, not all readers are leaders, but every single leader is a reader. I guarantee you that. She wants you to don't let your past define you. What's happened is not what's happening. You can, like Natasha Bedingfield say, you can write your own story moving forward. Nicole wants you to get out of your own way. Give yourself permission to go after your wants and beliefs, and don't look for validation from other people. Look for, if you have questions, get your asking gear and ask people. Nicole, I could make a warm introduction to Nicole. She'd be happy to answer questions for you. And you know that I'm always open to answering questions. Her and her hubby, Omar, are planting trees they're never going to sit in the shade of. I mean, dude, 100 million downloads. You know how many people that they've touched with this? They are a positive force and inspiration, and they provide a lot of that motivation for change to the people that follow them. And I know that I'm a follower, and I'm going to be even more of a follower even after this. She wants you to remember that the highest value that you can have is learning and to continue to progress and level up your knowledge. She wants you to be present, have fun, accept who you are. Again, no validation from anybody else. And serve as much as you can. And please, please, please look in the show notes for Hands Across the Water. Okay, make your donation. I've lived this life. I've been displaced from my biological parents. Okay, and luckily I was adopted by some Americans that were just awesome that I call my mother and father. But please, please, please look down there and donate what you can. I think they have a small donation of $33. And please, that's maybe 5 cups of coffee, that's out there. So, and Nicole, thank you so much for coming on. You level up your health, you level up your wealth. You're beautiful. You're fantastic. You've earned your varsity letter here at Time to Shine today. Thank you so much for coming on. I can't wait to collaborate with you and your hubs here in the future. Okay.
Thank you so much, Scott. I love your energy. Thank you.
Thank you. Mwah. Chat soon.
Bye-bye.